The best pre-workout drinks and supplements. The list of supplements I'm about to describe is not exhaustive, but they are the major ones that are definitely worth knowing. And I will do a cost calculation for each to give you a better idea of how much these things cost and if they're worth it at all. Let's start with Rhodiola Rosea. It is what is called a cortisol modulator. It does not necessarily suppress cortisol, it does not increase cortisol, it's a cortisol modulator. The typical dosage of Rhodiola Rosea that you will find in most supplements is 100 to 200 milligrams. It's a supplement that typically is taken about 10 to 15 minutes before any sort of high intensity workout, such as high intensity resistant training sessions. I ordered the Momentous brand and it was $17.95 for 60 servings, which is just under 30 cents per serving, which means it probably will last me for 3 months because again, you don't need to take it every day. So it's a pretty good deal, I would say. This is a supplement that is designed to give you an edge, to be able to exert more focus and intensity during your workouts with less perceived exertion. It reduces fatigue, enhances your recovery, and helps you maintain higher energy levels throughout the day. So again, 100 to 200 milligrams of Rhodiola Rosea about 10 to 20 minutes before a workout. Next is Beta-Alanine. The data on it seems to suggest that for strength or low rep sets, it's not going to really do anything. But there is some relatively good data that if you take it before high intensity interval cardio, or if you're doing higher rep sets that last longer than 45 seconds, Beta-Alanine can increase your workout output and that could potentially lead to more lean body mass gains. It definitely gives you an edge. If you're not used to it, Beta-Alanine can give you a little tingling sensations, but that's normal. I have the Nutricost brand. Right now it is $11.80 at a 41% discount on Amazon for 100 servings. So the cost per serving is just under 12 cents. The original price is $19.95. The cost per serving would be just under 20 cents. So far, without the discount, we are at 50 cents. Again, remember, this is not for every day, probably about 3 days a week. Next is caffeine. I have an issue with this one personally. Most of the pre-workout supplements in the market have high levels of caffeine, like 200 milligrams or 300 milligrams is very typical. Here is why I'm not pro caffeine as a pre-workout supplement. Depending on what time of the day you work out, caffeine can affect you negatively. Here are 3 reasons. If you're like me and many others and like to get your workout done first thing in the morning, digesting caffeine right after waking up will negatively affect you. Here is how. This is important. Throughout the day, and the longer we are awake, the longer the buildup of a chemical called adenosine in the brain and body. Adenosine turns on the parasympathetic nervous system, preparing you for sleep. When we sleep, adenosine is pushed back down. Caffeine effectively, through some chemical steps, blocks the effect of adenosine. When you wake up, you will still have a buildup of adenosine in your system, especially if you didn't get enough sleep. So if you digest caffeine right away, you suppress the action of that adenosine and you will be more alert. But guess what happens? Then the caffeine wears off a few hours later and the adenosine binds to the receptors with greater affinity, and that's why you have your afternoon heavy crash. So you want to delay your intake of caffeine by 60 to 90 minutes after waking, allow the adenosine to be cleared out. Now, if you exercise in the evening or late afternoon and digest high dosage of caffeine with your pre-workout drink, the caffeine will remain in your system and will disrupt your sleep. You don't want to digest anything more than 100 milligrams of caffeine after 3 p.m. at the latest. And we already mentioned most of the pre-workout powders in the market contain somewhere between 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine. Lastly, I believe you can get used to caffeine and it can become conditional. So unless you have a high level of caffeine in your system, you might find it very difficult to have a meaningful workout session and you simply might not feel like it to work out. I just think that's not right. But if your workout session is somewhere between 2 hours after you wake up and 6-7 hours before you go to bed, and if that day you just feel very low in energy, sure, take a couple of espresso shots and have fun. I do that on weekends. I use the Lavazza Espresso pods. On Amazon, it's 60 capsules for $21.99, which is 37 cents per pod, capsule/serving. I get the one with the intensity level of 12 out of 13, which is the highest. And I believe one capsule is about 100 milligrams of caffeine, if not more. So our total now is 87 cents. The next supplement is not necessarily a pre-workout supplement, but it is a highly praised one, and it is creatine. Creatine monohydrate, or any form of creatine. Creatine monohydrate is highlighted as the most effective and least expensive form of creatine. One thing to caveat is creatine does not improve performance acutely, meaning if you take it one time, you will not notice any difference. Now, creatine has a cumulative effect. You have to take it for a little while, usually about 2 weeks, and saturate your muscle cells in order for it to exert its benefits. So you want to take a daily dose of creatine, and it really doesn't matter when you take it. You could take it post-workout, pre-workout, during, or any time of the day. If you look at the literature on creatine and athletic performance, you don't want to just take creatine, but you really want to adjust the amount of creatine that you are ingesting according to your body weight. So if you weigh 185 pounds up to 250 pounds, plus or minus 5 pounds, 10 to 15 grams of creatine per day is probably more appropriate for you than the typical serving size, which is 5 grams. And if you're somebody who weighs 180 pounds down to say 130 pounds, 5 grams of creatine per day is probably sufficient. The point here is, if you are taking creatine, adjust the total amount of creatine that you take according to your body weight. I used to buy the Momentous brand, but I have recently switched to Jocko's brand. Right now, Jocko Fuel Creatine Monohydrate Powder on Amazon is $28.89 for 90 servings, which will be 32 cents per serving. This brings our total so far to $1.19. It's getting expensive. Next is branched chain amino acids, BCAAs. BCAAs, I believe, are necessary and fantastic. And here is why. Muscle protein synthesis, which means it can help in muscle growth and recovery after workouts. It reduces muscle soreness. It reduces exercise fatigue during prolonged exercise. BCAAs can improve recovery times, allowing you to train more frequently and effectively. The body can use BCAAs as an energy source when glycogen stores are depleted. This can help sustain performance. For those engaging in intense training or calorie-restricted diets, BCAAs can help preserve lean muscle mass by providing the necessary building blocks for muscle proteins and reducing muscle breakdown. It can be consumed before, during, or after exercise. I always make a mix of BCAAs, creatine, and L-glutamine and sip on it during my workout. I get a sugar-free, zero-calorie version which is mixed with electrolyte to keep me hydrated. The brand is called XTEND. I do think it's one of the best. Right now, it's $53.14 on Amazon for 90 servings, which is 60 cents per serving. This brings our total so far to $1.79. Again, you don't need to take all of them every day, except for the BCAAs with electrolyte and creatine that I think you should take them every day if you seriously work out. I believe these really can help you with the effectiveness and efficiency of your workout, your recovery, and your energy levels, not just during the exercise, but also throughout the day. If you really want to perfect this, I also highly recommend L-glutamine, 20 grams a day, typically split it up to 2 dosages, 10 grams morning, 10 grams at night, and omega-3 fatty acids. But what about protein and how much protein you need? Well, you can find the complete answer to that in this video. And if you think you learned something new, please share it with your friends and please subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching. See you next week. That's a wrap.